Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, July 12, 2017.
Commissioners Rivas, Repenning, James, and Jacinto are present. We have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, starting with the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Abram Tejeda with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Khalil Garders, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Shirley Lau, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Kimberly Fitzpatrick, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Good morning, Raul Mendoza, Assistant Executive Officer. Mr. President, we do not have any speaker cards under the Neighborhood Council commentary, no cards under public comment, and no cards on any of the items.
Okay, then we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. There's been a request to withdraw agenda item number 4 because of a co-location solution on a Bureau of Street Lighting pole. So that's a request by the Bureau of Engineering, and I want to thank the representatives from AT&T Mobility for your work on this in Council District 1 in finding the solution on co-locating with that BSL pole. So agenda item number 4 will be withdrawn. Mr. Ledoux, let me call agenda item number 2, and then we'll discuss where we are with a couple of these. Agenda item number 2, Council District 14, above ground facilities variance at 1060 South Hill Street. Actually, before we do that, Mr. Ledoux, let me take care of a couple of other things. Don't go far, though. We have an administrative item. Agenda item number 8, the Mayor and Council has approved the authorization of the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute a personal services contract with City Fibers Incorporated for the processing and marketing of residential recyclable materials collected from the West Valley and North Central waste sheds for a term of 5 years, retroactively effective from June 1, 2016 through May 31, 2021, at a cost not to exceed $11,791,250. That's broken down with $7,975,000 for the West Valley and $3,816,250 for North Central. That's just being sent back for signature. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 8 forthwith? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? With that objection, we will do so. Mr. Ledoux now on agenda item number 2, above ground facilities variance 1060 South Hill Street on the 11th Street side of the lot, recommending that the board approve a request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LA Municipal Code section 6208 VB, and secondly authorize AT&T Mobility to install a 30-foot high concrete monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 1060 South Hill Street on the 11th Street side of the lot. I was informed before the meeting, Mr. Ledoux, that for this item, as well as item number 3 and number 5, all 3 of these are in Council District 14, that the parties are still working together on an alternative solution and would still like an additional 2 more weeks. Is that correct?
Actually, we've changed that to 3 weeks, as
Okay.
I won't be here if we do it.
Okay.
So, yes, three weeks from today, and that they will toll the shot clock, and I have no police from AT&T here to back that up.
Okay. And 3 weeks from today would be August the 2nd. Is that correct, Mr. Assistant Executive Officer?
That's correct.
Okay. So we would move agenda items 2, 3, and 5 to Wednesday, August 2nd, 2017.
Okay.
Then that'll be the order for this morning. Thank you, and again, thank you to AT&T for your work on this. We appreciate it. So that takes us to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Agenda item number 6, budget revision and revision construction orders for Vito Artukovic and Son Incorporated, Vidmar Incorporated, recommending that the board authorize a revised construction budget of a not-to-exceed amount of $1,700,000, an increase of $1,200,000 above the current not-to-exceed budget of $500,000 for emergency sewer repairs to the north outfall sewer located at Woodbridge Street on the east side of Laurel Canyon Boulevard. This was, as you will recall, the famous or infamous sinkhole that happened in the latest round of major storms in early 2017. Rafael Solorzano.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Rafael Solorzano from the Wastewater Command Construction Division. I'm here to request to revise the construction budget for the sewer emergency on Lower Canyon at the 4200 block. This emergency was initiated on February 17, 2017, where during a major rain event, the north outfall sewer collapsed, causing a very large sinkhole on Woodbridge Street east of Lower Canyon Boulevard. The Bureau of Engineering initiated the emergency sewer procedures and contacted the next available on-call contractor, which was Miramontes Construction, Inc., who accepted the project. The engineer instructed the contractor to immediately set up to secure this job site by installing traffic control along Lower Canyon Boulevard, extracting the vehicles out of the sinkhole, and setting up a temporary sewer bypass at the upstream manhole. Due to the size of this job, the complexity, and the cost, the contractor requested to be replaced. So we went to the list, and the next available contractor was Vito Artikovich and Sons, Inc. They accepted the project. The NOS was built in 1931. It's comprised of a semi-elliptical pipe, 48-inch tile line. Due to the age and the exposure to the sewer gases, the structural integrity has been compromised. So the engineer instructed Artikovich to assess the NOS from the sinkhole to the upstream and downstream maintenance holes. Then we discovered another void in the NOS underneath Lower Canyon Boulevard, which needed immediate repair. So the engineer instructed the contractor to proceed and construct a wet well upstream of the manhole in order to isolate the damaged section of pipe. In doing so, the contractor proceeded to clean the damaged section of pipe by using a mechanical system. They also reconfigured the pumps. We also installed a chemical injection to mitigate the sewer gases. The contractor was able to line the pipe, installed approximately 105 feet of channel line liner pipe, and then we tied everything in the sinkhole with the manhole, with the NOS and the new pipe. With the pipe in place, the contractor proceeded to demobilize the bypass pumps and the order control system, construct a wet well cover, a concrete cover for the wet well, backfilled the sinkholes and the wet well, paved the streets, removed the traffic control, and did the final site restoration. The contractor worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week till we completed this project. Therefore, I'm asking for an additional $1.2 million, bringing the total construction cost of $1.7 million to compensate the contractor. Is there any questions that I may answer?
There's a couple of items to confirm, Mr. Solorzano. So this will close out the project, right?
Yes.
Okay. And my sense is that the bureaus are both satisfied with the result and the timing of the work that was done?
Yes. We did this job fairly quickly, considering the complexity of this job. It was a real challenge dealing with Lower Canyon and the media coverage that we had there. I felt that we did a pretty good job there.
Okay. Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. Rafael, thank you and the Bureau of Engineering for responding so promptly. It was big, it was high profile.
Yes,
it was on the news.
a challenging job.
Yeah, you bet. And we had to react right away. One is, I want to, Miramontes in asking to be replaced, I think was a good thing. They realized they didn't have the capacity.
Yes.
So with these types of things, we don't have an opportunity to get a contractor out there and then they can't do the work for whatever reason. So that was a good, if you're, again, as President James said, if you're clear with the 1.2 million and that 1.7 overall.
Yes, that will cover all the costs.
That was a good fix, and we got that done, and we're back on our way, so thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
I just had a general question. Do we have a system of monitoring different sewers on a periodic basis in terms of assessing the needs for repair, or do we just take it as it comes?
Well, the Bureau of Sanitation has an ongoing assessment program, and they are currently TVing the major sewers, and they are reviewing the videotapes.
Thanks.
Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion on agenda item number 6. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending 6 forthwith? We'll send number 6 forthwith. Let me just say, sir, pass on thank you to both representatives from both bureaus and the collaboration on this project. I know the council office appreciated it, and the community as well, as someone that lives nearby and was out there in the early hours of those mornings as a result of what happened.
Great, thank you.
The,
And the community was fantastic too, by the way. They
yeah,
were great.
the coordination was well done on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 1. Council Districts 1 and 13, Bureau of Engineering, Task Order Solicitation Number 009A, MGE Engineering Incorporated, First Street Viaduct over Glendale Boulevard and Seismic Retrofit and Historic Rehabilitation Project, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task order to MGE from the pre-qualified on-call construction support services consultants list to provide design and support during construction and construction engineering services for the project, as stated in the task order solicitation number 009A, with a budget authority of $1,306,624.69, which includes contingency. Winnie Lamb.
Good morning. Winnie Lam with the Bureau of Engineering, Bridge Improvement Division. To provide you with some background, the viaduct was built in 1942. The bridge is approximately 974 feet long and approximately 51 feet wide, carrying 4 lanes of traffic over Glendale Boulevard. The project site is located in the Belmont neighborhood within the Westlake Community Plan area. The major component of this project are to correct the existing geometrical deficiencies, widening existing bridge for safety, address seismic vulnerabilities, and preserve the viaduct's historical status. On June 2nd, 2017, this board awarded the construction contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. To assist the city during construction, the general scope of this task order before you consists of technical design services, geotechnical monitoring, environmental monitoring, structural observation, and other construction engineering services. The Bureau of Engineering solicits cost proposal from all 10 pre-qualified on-call bridge civil engineering consultants. 2 firms responded. The proposal was reviewed by a panel of BOE staff with knowledge and experience relevant to the project. And all 2 firms were interviewed, scored based on the established selection criteria. MGE Engineering received the highest average score for its exceptional strength in all professional disciplines and through demonstration of high qualification and experience among members of all the various specialties. To reach a proper design scope with fair and reasonable compensation, BOE recommends approval of the final negotiated cost proposal of $1,187,840.63. Since this is a federally funded project, the city must adhere to the U.S. Department of Transportation's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program requirements. The DBE participation for the pre-qualified on-call contract is 6.01%, and MGE Engineering has pledged a DBE participation of 38.73% for this task. This task will be funded by Federal Highway Bridge Program funds with seismic bond local match. In addition, it will be funded by State Proposition 1B local bridge seismic funds. We request the board to authorize the city engineer to issue this task to MGE Engineering so that we can utilize their technical services during construction, which is anticipated early August 2017. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rivas?
So MGE is a DBE, and they're the prime, right? So
That's
that
correct.
the 35% counts towards what they're pledging, right? Which is the
That's
company
correct.
itself. as
Yes,
the DBE.
there are 3. They're the prime, and 2 of the sub also qualifies as DBE too.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Anything further? Thank you for the report. Very helpful. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Sindel's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1. Is there a second on it? I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Thank you, ma'am. That was easy. Agenda item number 7, Council District 6, Lend-Lease U.S. Construction Incorporated, recommending that the board first approve the substitution of $875,764.89 from Fund Number 15T, Department Number 50, Appropriation Unit 50V2PM, to Fund Number 16J, Department Number 50, Appropriation Unit 50A2PM, and request the Office of Accounting to effect any and all required accounting transactions. Alan Espiritu, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. My name is Alan Spiritu with the Bureau of Engineering Bond Programs Division. The City Engineers is requesting the reallocation of funds for contract number C102634. This contract was executed in February 2002 between the City of Los Angeles and Lend-Lease in order to provide construction management and project management support for the Proposition F Fire Facility Bond Program. This reallocation is part of the basic defeasance of the bond that was approved by the City Council. And at the request of the CAO's office, the accounts for the bond funds in the year 2002 to 2004 are to be defeased. Since the contract was executed in 2002, the remaining funds on the two funds are requesting it to be transferred to the 2007 fund. The current contract ceiling amount for this contract is $21,200,000, and the amount spent to date is $20,324,205. The remaining balance is about $900,000. Are there any questions?
Just for the record to indicate, the instruction for the substitution of funds from these various two accounts came from the Chief Administrative Officer, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Or I should say the City Administrative Officer. And anything else? All right, simple enough. Get our accounting in order. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6. Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending number 6 forthwith? We will send number 6 forthwith. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, June 16, 2017? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 8, we've done. Agenda item number 9, quarterly status report, Clean Streets Initiative for the Bureau of Sanitation. Mr. Garcia, I thought I saw you in the audience this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau heads. If I can, oral report, can I be a little candid?
Go ahead.
The most stressful part of my career was standing up here for the first time and speaking to you guys because I didn't know what was going to come out. So with that, I'd like to introduce Gabriel.
Was that a couple of years ago, Pepe?
A few years ago. So
it can't be anymore, though, right? You feel at home now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead with your introduction, sir. Gabriel
Miranda is currently kind of transitioning from the shadows of the Clean Streets program to in my absence, to be standing here giving this report. So if you can be lenient or drill them, it's up to you.
Excellent.
But in any case, although Gabriel's maybe new to you right here, he has been very instrumental in the deployment of the 2,500 ALBs plus, coordinating all the collection of.
So the first thing on standing here in a public meeting, ALBs, acronyms.
Yeah. Automated litter bins.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. And so he basically put all that program together. That was his first assignment. 2,500. Met with the CDs. Took everything. They cleaned the Great Streets project. All that into consideration. I'll leave it at that, and he can speak on that. Most recently, he held the Clean Start review for all the CDs for the last quarterly review, so he can speak on his experiences with meeting with all the council offices. President James, I always want to thank you for your participation in the operation, the homeless encampment, the last signatures, and all these last-minute things that we ask of you. Gabriel will be probably asking of that. You know, you'll probably see his name on emails going back and forth. I just wanted you to put the face with the name.
Well, I certainly know that you all are working all hours of the day and all days of the week, because I had, I don't know, 50 requests or so that came on July the 4th
Absolutely.
that day, so I know you guys are busy, yeah.
And a special thank you for Commissioner Jacinto for going out on the tour and seeing the men and women working out there. And like I mentioned to him before, now the jargon makes sense. The postings, the hard closures, the hazmat, the clean harbors, how all these components fit together, and now all that kind of makes sense when you first see it firsthand. But on top of all that, as employees are employees, when a suit shows up, it's like, hey, guess what? Hey, guess what? You know, and it was inspirational and motivational that someone took the time at our level to go out there and actually see these men and women working and making a difference. So special thank you from all the staff. Business. So now that the franchise has kind of kicked off July 1st, has kind of given us a window to continue the automation of the AMS, which is the Authorization Management System for the homeless encampments. So we're going to continue with pushing it hard to make it as automated as possible so that everybody's notified from LAPD to the council office deputies of what was done, what wasn't done, for what reason, and all these different components. Rather than relying on emails, it's an automated system that will, once completed in the field, communicate with My 311, and everybody that needs to will be notified. So that's going to continue. Probably incorporating a few more components of the Clean Street program, which Gabriel can talk about how the ALBs, the automated litter bins, are being incorporated to gauge frequencies and trends. Example, Hollywood Boulevard in the summer maybe need to service 7 days a week. In the winter, maybe 3 days a week, and based on volumes and trends. The additional service team and the additional HOPE teams will be deployed in 2018. And we're currently assessing the operational needs of the entire program because we got approved for the purchase of vehicles through the general fund. So we're trying to see how we're going to configure and supply all the resources to the different, from the HOPE teams to the illegal dumping, to somebody dumping a load of dirt or concrete somewhere, to handling Skid Row, both in Venice and in downtown. So we're assessing all those things and trying to build a metrics on how we can report that to you in an automated way. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Gabriel so he can speak a little bit about his experiences.
Great. Thank you, Pepe.
Thank you, Pepe.
As you said, my name is Gabe Miranda. I've been with the City of Los Angeles in sanitation for 15 years, working in Clean Streets for the past about a year now. As he mentioned, we did just finalize.
Sure, Gabriel, is this your first time before the board?
It is.
Welcome, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Well,
I didn't know if I could bring my coffee in here either.
if I'd known that going in, I would have brought in my rules of cross-examination book on finding all kinds of ways to try and stump you. But I understand that's not going to happen this morning, even if I had my rules with me. So go right ahead, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, President James. So the Clean Stat reviews, we just finalized those in the month of June with all 15 council districts. Those went very well. I've been involved in the Clean Stat review since the inception of last year. One of the aspects that we added to it this year was the homeless encampment process in 5611. I know it's a very dynamic process, so we put a slideshow together. It lasted about 30 minutes. The council districts were very pleased with it, just re-educating them on the processes and some of the streamlines that we've been doing to streamline the workflow. As it relates to the ED8 receptacle program, I have been in charge of that. We finalized our deployment for fiscal year 16-17 of 1,250 ALB receptacles. I currently use an Esri ArcGIS database to track all the receptacles, those serviced by LA San and every other receptacle that accounts for over 10,000 street receptacles. I currently routed it out among 6 authorities. We have a frequency of collection right now of 2 times per week average. But every receptacle that we have that we service, I have it tracked down to how many times we service it. So if we do receive a complaint, we can adjust the frequency at that point. That's worked really well. We are actually going to be incorporated into Sandstar, which is connected to our MyLA 311 database, so we can track any type of complaints that do come in. Illegal dumping. For the month of June, we closed and completed 694 illegal dumps for the month of June, which puts us at an average of 10 days response time right now, which is well within the 21 days that we stipulated. That's all I pretty much have. Any questions?
I would just go to, before I call on Commissioner Repenning, Commissioner Repenning, I had the benefit of attending the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Miami a couple of weeks ago for an award that the Clean Streets program received that I will let you mention as part of, since you were there, as part of our exchange regarding your oral report this morning. So we'll start with Commissioner Repenning.
Sure. Well, thanks for that, Commissioner James. I just, we're planning to have the whole team come in to actually accept the award once the award is physically within our midst. It was snatched from the mayor's hands even before he left the stage. So they gave it to him and then they took it back. So, but we do want to present it to the folks who actually are deserving of the honors, the folks who have put the work in over these last couple years to make the program a success. And, you know, when we were first developing the program, I was joking with Leo about how it was going to be a national model, and then there we were, you know, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the conference of the, you know, all the executives of the major cities in the U.S. Being presented the Livability Award for large cities. So, but that said, I think that there's a lot more for us to do with the program. Gabe, I'm glad that you are rising up in the ranks and taking more on, and I look forward to hearing what new energy and ideas you're going to bring to this, because I really feel like in a lot of ways we're just getting started. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that I think it's really important for these briefings and any sort of public presentation we're doing on Clean Streets is that we do separate out the work that we're doing on homeless encampments from the Clean Streets program itself. And that was something that we've always done, is to separate the two. I know some of the same crews are doing both types of work, but I think it's important just for the way that we, you know, talk about the work. Clean Streets is more of a proactive, we're trying to get the neighborhoods cleaner than they currently are and put resources into those areas that need them the most. Our work on homeless encampments is really a reactive, responsive set of activities we're doing in response to the homeless crisis in our city. So I think it's important just to continue to separate those two. In the meantime, I look forward to continuing to do more public engagement. I think that's always like the big area that we can just, as much as we can do. So we're looking at another Clean Streets Challenge for the fall and looking at doing some engagement in South LA in September. So, obviously the new resources into the program for this coming year will be all used up very quickly. Thanks, guys, for the presentation and for your work.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Commissioner Rivas?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Just so you know, yesterday we had a meeting on how we could market the illegal dumping. In other words, leave our stamp, because we clean an alley and really people don't know who did it. They know the city did it, but they don't know who did it. So we're trying to figure out a way on how we could market the work for illegal dumping and decongestion of some of these alleys and the cleaning of some of these medians, and we're looking at something that's feasible that would lend more awareness awareness to the program and how and who and how it's being done?
I think that would be great for the residents, even a door hanger or something that just, you could just, the immediate area. The clean scenes that the PAO has put together with the before and after photos that they're distributing to the council offices, those are very popular. I see them pop up on social media, and I think those are a great way to immediately show kind of what we're trying to do. But I think as well, to make sure that the residents know what this is about and how to continue to access those services, I think is worth the trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penny. Commissioner Rivas?
Well, no, first, congratulations on your first board report. This
Thank you.
was great, and we look forward to seeing you here report more. You mentioned, I have a few questions. You mentioned the receptacles
Sure.
that you track. Is that available? Are those for homeless encampments or just more
No, so
bins for different communities that you've identified?
yeah, so you're talking about the street receptacles, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so those are our ALB automated litter bins that we use as part of ED8. The mayor wants to have 5,000 street receptacles placed throughout the entire city by 2019. So each fiscal year, we're deploying 1,250. So the thing with these particular receptacles is just tracking them. So we use a ArcGIS database that tracks
Is
them.
that available like a Navigate LA? Is that something that the public can access, or is that something that you track in your own
On
GIS?
GeoHub? Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we have it on GeoHub.
So it is available if we want to see for a particular community how many there
Exactly,
are.
yes.
Okay. No, I get asked that a
Okay.
lot
Oh,
from
do you?
constituents so it's helpful. I'd like to send them to a resource
Yeah,
that
and
they
then
can access.
one of the things I did this year was I created an interactive map for each council district. So what that allowed them to do is when a constituent would call them for either a request or possibly a complaint, they would be able to see every street receptacle within their council district, which is basically their main concern. So that was one of the things, and it actually helped the deployment because I basically used the litter data we get from our indexing and look at locations such as bus stops that don't have a current receptacle, things of that nature. Because we want to make sure that we put them in areas that they're going to get used the most. So.
No, I think it's helpful to have that visualization because I think even as a resident, sometimes you don't realize how many there are. You don't notice all of them.
Yeah.
And once you see it, you see what the city is doing
Exactly.
for your community.
Exactly.
So I like to have those resources to share.
Okay.
So it's great that it is available somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
To the public. Great.
Exactly, on GeoHub.
Okay. And also, yeah, I was going to ask a question about the alleys and illegal dumping, but I think you answered it in terms of ways to inform residents that it's been done by the city, because I've had some residents contact me about illegal dumping in their alleys, and they don't know who does it. And I was there once at an event, and I just did it through, the 311 app.
Yeah.
And you
And I
came
think that's
and did it, and then they just thought it was me, and I was like trying to inform them, no, you can call, you can do it too. So if they knew, like you said, the door hangers or whatever way that you best identify, I think is a good idea to inform residents.
Yeah, and one of the things we do is we use our indexing staff to pass out literature as well, because they're out there capturing all this data, and we're proactively doing work. So what we want them to do is learn to use the application, the MyLA 311 application. So we have little handouts that they're equipped with, because believe it or not, they get asked a lot of questions. What are you doing out here? Why are you taking pictures of this? So then they talk about what they're doing, and at the same time hand out literature. So that actually helps as well to be proactive in educating the residents and the constituents.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Commissioner Davis?
I wanted to thank you for your report, and obviously the work that you do in this division is so critically important in terms of helping to manage our city and keeping it clean. You mentioned that there are 1,250 receptacles that you implement or install per year. Have we completed the goal for this year of
We
the
did.
1,250?
Yes, so I'm currently devising the plan for 17-18 as far as the next deployment. So the 1,250, we've done 2 years of it already, so 2,500. We currently have 3,791 street receptacles that we service.
Sure.
These are some that were purchased by council districts. We still have some of the white wire baskets when we took the program over. Yeah, we did finalize our deployment already. But the plan and the lead up to the deployment takes months, just to basically devise the plan, meet with each council district, discuss where we're going to place them.
Sure.
And then I have to basically route it out and do the collection aspect of it and the maintenance.
So in terms of the number of 1250, there are additional ones that are purchased by council staff, council offices rather.
Yeah, those were purchased prior to ED8, actually.
I see.
Yeah.
In terms of the type of cans that we have, are they all the same type, or are there various different models of receptacles that are being implemented
So,
or installed?
no, they're all the same type, the automated litter bin, with the exception of the few white wire baskets that we still have out there. We're actually phasing those out, but they are one model. So they are automated litter bins, but it's basically just a piece of plastic. The reason they're called that is because our automated fleet are the ones that collect it. So actually all collection aspects within the city is manual collection. Ours is the only one that's automated. So there are some safety sensitive aspects to this program that we had to implement as far as making sure that it was not only safe for our employees, but safe for the public. So yeah, they are universally one type of container, to answer your question.
Great, and I'm glad to hear operationally that you do have a map that identifies where the receptacles are so that each council office can be very clear about where we have installed them. I think that's critically important operationally.
Exactly, yeah.
I wanted to ask too, it was mentioned that you have been given additional funding this year from the general fund. What is that money for? I think, you reported that there was additional funds that you had received this year for the program. Did I hear you correctly?
Good strike team and 2 additional hope teams.
I'm sorry.
Two additional hope teams.
Oh, I see. So you got more staff and more personnel to do the work.
Yes, the budget was approved, but it won't be implemented until January.
So in January, you should get some additional staff members to do the work.
Yes, an additional
Great, I'm glad to hear that. I was curious about Measure H in terms of the funding there. Is there any anticipation that there might be some funds through Measure H that would come to you to do some of the work that you do, for example, on homeless encampment cleanups? Is there some potential opportunity for that, or what?
To be honest with you, I really don't have an answer for that one. I'd have to research it and come back to you.
Okay, not a problem. Well, I thank you both for the report, and I think, again, it's so critically important. And, of course, for me, particularly in South L.A., we've been able to see a difference. When we have these receptacles, it makes a world of difference that we don't see proliferation of trash just thrown on the sidewalks. And when we, as a city, have a reciprocal there, we're telling people that this is the place to which we want you to practice putting your trash. And so when I look in areas in South LA, particularly the 9th District and other areas where you all have really made a difference, I think that the receptacle program is so, again, critically important. So I thank you for the work that you're doing, and we look forward to continuing to advocate on your behalf.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Thank you, Gabriel. Pepe, thank you. The oral report will be received. We'll see you in a few months when you come back for your next quarterly. Mr. Executive Officer, we cleared the desk?
For the regular meeting, yes.
For the regular meeting. So we have 2 special meetings. First of all, on the regular meeting, I know that we've got some BOE people here, and Mr. Ledoux left already. I wanted to just pass on to the Bureau our thanks, and to you, Commissioner Jacinto, as well. The work that we were able to do this morning, that was finalized at least with agenda item number 4 in Council District 1, where our work resulted in an agreed upon above ground facility location. Commissioner Penning, I think you flagged that one as well. Thank you for your help on that. We end up with all parties walking away with an agreement, which we wouldn't have otherwise had that without the additional time that's been put in by the Bureau, by the Council Office, by the applicant AT&T, and by the affected residents. A note that the other items that are continued for 3 additional weeks, we hope we have the same goal for the downtown area, or we achieve the same goal for the downtown area for Council District 14. And I know, just as an aside that I want to add to the record, the entertainment industry is interested in seeing how that gets resolved as well. I know they've been involved in the discussions. So just having this kind of a forum and these discussions has been very helpful, I know, for the council offices and for the community. I know that sometimes the telecoms get a little frustrated with the added process, but at the end of the day, they end up with a result that everyone's happy with. So we now have 2 special meetings. And just so I'm clear, Mr. Jordan, our special meetings, these are all Bureau of Engineering issues on a pre-qualified on-call list and some task order solicitations that we need to pass today so we don't have any service interruption. We're about to implement a new pre-qualified on-call list, so we're going to do that in two special meetings, one scheduled for 11:30, the other scheduled for noon. For the special meetings, the regular meeting will be adjourned. The only bureaus that we'll need here for the special meetings will be representatives from the Bureau of Engineering, as well as Mr. Reamer is going to be here for the Bureau of Contract Administration. And then we'll need the city attorney and our executive officer. So we'll be adjourned now until 11:30, when we'll come back and have our first of two special meetings, one at 11:30 and one at 12. Mr. Jordan, are we clear there?
Very clear, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 45 minutes or so. Yes, right back in this room. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, June 12th, 2017. This is the 11:30 a.m. version of the special meeting.
Commissioners Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. We have bureau introductions from the Bureau of Engineering.
Ken Red, Bureau of Engineering.
I'll also note that Mr. Reamer is here as well from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Go ahead, Ted.
And Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Raul Mendoza, Assistant Executive Officer. Mr. President, we don't have any speaker cards under public comment, no cards under Neighborhood Council commentary, and no cards on any of the items for this special agenda.
Okay, then we'll close the Neighborhood Council category of commentary as well as general public comment on the 11:30 special. So this is special 1. Agenda item number 1, administrative item. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works or my designee on behalf of the Bureau of Engineering to execute the proposed 5-year contracts of 24 consulting firms listed in attachment A of the report to offer services through the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services list through July 2022, subject to verified proof of insurance. This is just coming back for signature. Board has already taken action on this. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 1 forthwith by Commissioners Repenning and Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 2, Bureau of Engineering, task order solicitation, design, engineering, and construction support services for various projects, recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Brown and Caldwell from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $98,450, which includes contingency. Secondly, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Arcadis US Incorporated from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $713,989.11, which includes contingency. Third, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Atkins from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $40,331.11, which includes contingency. And fourth, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Lee and Rowe from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $177,206.12, which includes contingency. Mr. Jensen, you're here on agenda item number 2.
Mr. President, for the record, a signed report has been submitted by BOE and has been distributed to each of the commissioners.
Okay, so fine, we have the signed report. Mr. Red, you've stepped in.
I am. If I could just kind of set the table and then...
All right. Are you going to, well, and when you set the table, you can let us know, are you going to let us know the universal sole source justification for all of these?
Yes, I am.
And is it the same for all of them?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll have Mr. Jordan chime in on that. So
And then if there's any special questions, we can call up the staff individually.
On
each one if you have that.
Go ahead, let us know what we're doing, Ken.
Okay, so here's what we're doing. We use an on-call consultant list to provide consultants for, this is for the wastewater and environmental group, so for the clean water program and anything that has that type of related consultant needs comes off of this list with the Bureau of Engineering. This is actually the 4th list that will go into place, the one that you're going to being signed today, that was agenda item number 1 of this special meeting. The existing list also happens to expire today. There were 21.
I thought it expired tomorrow.
Maybe it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow? Close of business today? I think
business today. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, there was 21 firms. All of the 13 sole source task orders that are coming before you today were issued to those 21 firms. They competed, they were selected, and have started doing work at some, and they're in some phase of completing
Various
that work.
phases of work,
From either from
completion.
design or it's in construction. They're providing the design support during construction. And all we are doing is transferring the remainder of that work that was bid off of the old list to the new list. Fortunately, everyone that was on the old list is also on the new list. There's 24 on this current list.
So the newer list is longer,
It has a few more firms
but everyone that is doing work
on these task orders. There was a couple that were on the old one that didn't. There's been some firms that were bought out. There was one firm that didn't propose that was on the old list, but they didn't get any work off the old list, and they finally decided maybe for various reasons.
But all the work that we're approving today is work that is from firms that are on both lists.
That's correct.
They're on the original list that ends at the end of business, at the close of business
Correct.
today, that is continuing into a new list that has a few, maybe 3 additional names, but they are the same firms carrying over to the next list.
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
And so what I wanted to point out that this is the fourth list, and we've done this every time that we end one list and do another. The difference this time around is in previous versions of this, we've had the new list in place where there was a 3 to 6 month overlap, give or take, something along that.
You're looking at a one-day overlap.
We're looking at a one-day overlap. And the reason that we're here is we thought we had started in plenty of time based on past experience. We started the process in August of 2015 to establish this new list. And as things would have it, about a year ago, we were ready to send out a request for proposals for new firms. We lost several months, and multiple factors played into it. The 2 biggest ones being there was one group in the process had staff, but they were just short-staffed, and then they couldn't get some of them out. And I think there were some other issues also. But also contributing to that, we, the Bureau of Engineering, a year ago, we were finishing the year trying to get a bunch of projects out, and we kept reprioritizing and pushing this to the bottom, thinking, oh, I've got another whole year. And so all of a sudden we find ourselves trying to make up those months we lost at the end, and that's always hard to do. So here we are at the last day, and certainly wasn't our intent to come to the last day of the contract. We wanted the overlap as much as anybody. And in previous years, if we'd had this overlap, you would have seen sole source board reports. You just wouldn't have seen all of them at one day. They would have come over the course of the 3 months or so. And once the new one was in place, any new work would have been issued off the new list, which if that was the case this time, we probably would have reduced the number of 13, I know, at least by 1, because it was only issued just a month or so ago.
All right, well, as you know, this last day deadline is not the process that we like to operate under.
Oh, it is not.
As you said, it's not the process that we have operated under. But we now end up with this today because of staffing issues, and you indicated, if I understand correctly, Ken, that there were some projects that the Bureau of Engineering wanted to get through the contract administration process.
Faster than...
So the Bureau of Engineering asked the Bureau of Contract Administration
move this one up above.
to move those above
Absolutely.
this.
Yep.
So, and so now here we are, because of those priorities, we're now here at the last day with this.
That's correct.
All right, go ahead. And what I haven't heard yet, though, you've explained the process.
Okay.
Next, are you going to explain the sole source justification
Yes.
for each of these?
I was going to do a general one, but if you want me to do each
Why
one,
don't you do a general one
because it's the same.
with your confirmation that it applies to every one of them?
I can do that.
Go ahead.
So, with work that is initiated, under the old list, and most of these are for design and design support services during construction. I think there's one where we just wanted to do we wanted some specialized construction services on the big Venice dual force main project. So we started the work under the old list. As this contract expires, you had 2 choices. You either extend the contract by amending it, but since this is a 5-year contract, that would have meant going to council, which is another layer of time to do, or you simply sole source the remaining work. We're not adding new work. We're not adding new sub-consultants. We're just saying the work that you started here, whatever you haven't completed, we're now going to give that to you on the sole source to complete on the new task, on the new list. And so the reason that you want to do this is you don't want to change the design engineer. If you're right in the middle of a design, it makes no sense to change firms and have someone new come in and pick up a design and finish it. It's just better if you have, for continuity. The same thing if the project's already moved to construction, you have a consulting firm who would be the designer of record, engineer of record. They would know the most about the design. So when submittals come in that they need to review, it would make more sense to have them review that. So for continuity-wise and for everybody, probably cost-wise, it's better to have the same firm continue on and finish the work that they established. And had this, just for example, if we'd have started these projects earlier in the 5-year term and they would have completed, you would have never thought of switching firms in the middle. The only reason that we have to move this over is because of the contract end dates. Does that make sense?
It does, but let me see if I can summarize it
Okay.
again, just in an effort to doubly make the record clear. So, because work was started that is taking place at the time that a contract is concluding, to continue the work without interruption, you are using a sole source task order solicitation. And so what you're doing is, because sole source sometimes also means no bid. But the only reason that you're seeking a sole source justification is because the contract came to an end. This is a work task that, if the contract were coming to an end, would have been left with one subcontractor anyway.
That's correct. One prime contractor and whichever subs they had on that task.
On that task.
That's correct.
The only reason you're needing to come to us with a sole source justification is because you have an interruption based on paper on the end of the contract.
That's correct.
But because the new contract that is starting includes the exact same firms that are the subject of these task order solicitations, it makes sense to do the sole source because all of these contractors are in the middle of their task. So it makes no sense and indeed would be costly and would result in losses if we switched horses in the middle of the race.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. In fact, you could look at it the fact that if I gave, they bid off the old list this scope of work, we agreed to a price and we issued a task order to them. Contract comes to an end, there's still 20 or 30 or various % of that scope remaining. If you went out and bid it off the new list and gave someone else a chance, they would lose out on work that they'd already won. You could look at it that way too. There's multiple reasons it's more cost effective for everybody involved to just continue them on.
Mr. Jordan, are you satisfied with the explanation so far?
Yes, absolutely. And in also fairness to the Bureau of Engineering, in the administrative just issues that came up, which is resulting in the sort of lack of a strong overlap. I mean, the city attorney's office in its review of the contracting documents, I mean, we're part of that process as well.
Okay.
So I just want to take some of that responsibility as well.
Thank you.
But in terms of the sole source justification, yeah, it is absolutely not in the city's interest to engage in a new task order solicitation process to complete work that has already been started by one of the firms. And also, from time to time, when the contract's expired and we have a new on-call list, there may be a firm that is working on a task order that is not going to be on the new list. And we've dealt with that as well, simply by amending that contract, allowing that firm to complete the task order that it started. Although since it's not on the new list, we put language in the contract that means that they're no longer able to compete for new task orders. So either way, the fact that a firm had an existing task order does not bear on whether or not it gets on the new list or not. So the evaluation of contractors to be on the new contractor list is independent of what task orders they may be working on. If we like them based on their proposal, statement of qualifications, we give them a new contract. If their statement of qualifications, the proposal for the new contract list is not one that we want to accept, then we don't. although we do typically allow them to complete their existing task orders. Because again, it's really almost never in the city's interest to change firms when they're in the middle of a project.
Okay.
So then, one other thing just to note, the old list was put out 5 years ago, so it was out under the MBWB rules. The new list will have the business inclusion rules, so there'll be more categories, SB, EB, DVB. Just so everyone's clear, we're not adding new scope, we're not adding new subs, we'll just continue those over. So the MBWB will continue, and some of those subs will be SBE, some of them might be EBB, some of them might not be. So it'll be what it will be. So what we will be doing, since we're right down to the very last day, we will be coming back within the next 60 days once we get the final invoices in, and they can adjust that and then show what the proposed percentages will be on the BIP inclusion, because that'll take a little bit of time to figure out as we transition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to point that out so everybody's clear on that. But we're not adding new scope and we're not adding new subs. They're going to have to continue with who they proposed with.
Okay. Now, before we go into, do you have questions on process before we go into the specific agenda items?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I just
Commissioner
wanted-
Davis and then Commissioner Rivas.
I'm pretty comfortable with the transaction here, but I wanted to find out financially, are there any unforeseen additional costs as a result of the implementation of this particular item? What additional costs do we incur in the city?
By doing the sole source,
Correct.
I don't think there's any additional costs other than, staff time, but they get paid.
It would be additional cost if we didn't.
Yeah, there would be additional costs if we didn't. Because you'd have to terminate a task order, and it's not quite like contract law. These are consultants, but still, they would have expected to do this amount of work, and you would have shortened it by some degree, and then you would have had to bid it again, and there would have been additional costs had you not done this. That's the way I see
The
it.
only additional cost that I could see potentially, Commissioner Davis, and Ken, let me know if I'm wrong here, would be the staff time and our time that it's taken that we have to do anyway because the contract came to an end.
Correct.
So we have this additional administrative work that has to happen at the end of a contract, but that happens at the end of any contract.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Rivas?
It makes sense to me that you'd want to continue with the same design engineers or firms and not interrupt or definitely that continuity makes sense to me. But did we know that these projects were going to go beyond our contract date?
Yes, we did. So you have, and so the way this on-call list works, you establish an on-call list. It's there for 5 years. We do contracts, or, construction projects all the time. In fact, I looked this morning just to see how many were underneath the Clean Water Program. There's 328 projects right now that are active in some phase or other, either from pre-design to post-construction, somewhere in there. And that changes as we complete one project and start a new one. That fluctuates up and down, but there's 300 plus pretty much consistently. So the only way you can line those projects up, you can't line them up with the contract. So you know that that's going to happen. That's why we like to have, and what we've done on all the other lists, we've had a 3-month or 3 to 6 month overlap so that you could, if you knew one was going to start up and you had the new list already in place, you would go off that new list instead of issuing a contract. But you don't want to delay projects because you're waiting for the new contract in place. That's why we're at. It's just timing. Yep.
But for the new list, we'd probably be in a different situation if one of these contractors didn't make it to the new list.
That's correct. Then we would have to not do sole source. We would have to do, as Mr. Jordan said, we would either have to amend that existing contract to allow them to complete it, or you would go out and get a different firm to complete the work, either something along those lines. And neither one of those are the best.
So in this case, it worked out for them to continue since they are, even
On
it was
both
an
lists.
independent process still to get them
Yes.
qualified for the new list, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Was an element of luck here. All right, so that said, let's start then. Are we ready, Mr. Red, to start with Mr. Jensen on agenda item number 2?
Sure.
President James was great.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Cento, didn't
Really
see.
quick, sorry. Ken, I'm fine with it too. I look at this kind of, not just as a sole source, but almost like a no-cost extension to allow the scope of work to be completed without interruption. Just a point of clarification, once that the scope of work is done, that basically sunsets that whole scope of work and we're in the new on-call list, correct?
Correct. So and then those firms that are on the new list, if we start a new project and we put that out for proposal, they have the ability to propose on new projects. And you'll see there's a bunch of new task orders that will be coming before the board in the next matter of weeks for that very reason, because now they're bidding off the new list that we didn't.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Jensen on agenda item number 2.
All right, good morning. Brad Jensen, I'm with the Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. So we have 4 task orders that we will be requesting to move over to the new contracts. The first is with Brown & Caldwell. They were awarded task order number 37 in August of 2014 for the terminal way pumping plant project. They provided the design and they're providing engineering support during the construction of this project. They've invoiced $340,000 to date. The remaining $98,450 we're proposing to move to the new contract. The second task order is with Arcadis. They were awarded task order number 41 in January of 2015 for the design of the Venice Auxiliary Pumping Plant. This task order was revised in April of this year, in 2017, that increased the cost ceiling of that contract from $1.2 million to $1.6 million. To date, they've invoiced $886,000, and so the balance of $714,000 is what we're proposing to move to the new contract. The third project task order was to Atkins. They were awarded task order number 43 on February 23rd of 2015 for the design and support services also during construction for the Highbury pumping plant rehabilitation project. They've invoiced $377,000 to date, and the remaining $43,000 is what we're recommending to move to the new contract. The fourth task order was to Lee and Rowe, task order number 44 that was issued on April 8th of 2015 for the design and also the support services during construction for the pumping plant generator replacement phase 3 project. They've invoiced approximately $323,000 to date, and the remaining $177,000 is what we're recommending moving to the new contract. With that, is there any questions?
I would only state for the record that across the board on all of these, and I'll confirm this with our executive officer, the signed board reports are all part of the attachments and part of the packet, correct?
The agenda was posted with the draft board reports, but we did receive them, so you can adopt the signed board reports as amended.
Okay. And there's no substantive change to any of the board reports other than the signature, correct?
I believe that's correct, but Bureau of Engineering can probably confirm.
I believe that's correct. There might have been one or two typos of just grammar.
That's not a substantive change.
No substantive change.
So no substantive change other than the signature and a grammatical correction or two. All right. Any questions for Mr. Jensen on agenda item number 2? I don't have any questions for Mr. Jensen on agenda item number 2. Motion by Commissioner Cento, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Agenda item number 3, Council District 6, task order solicitation, design, engineering, and construction support services for various projects. Recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Carollo Engineers from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $83,572, which includes contingency. Secondly, Authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to AECom Incorporated from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $601,989, which includes contingency. And third, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Tetra Tech from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $256,936, which includes contingency. Andy Flores on agenda item number 3.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Flores with the Bureau of Engineering's Proposition O Clean Water Division. The Proposition O Clean Water Division has 3 projects which require the processing and approval of sole source to continue work. Number 1, we have the Penmar and Temesco project. Carollo Engineering is the engineer of record for this project and is in the best interest to utilize their design services during construction. For the construction phase of this project, Carollo has invoiced $849,000 to date, from which the remaining $83,572, including contingency, will be used to complete work on this task, on the current task. Number 2, for the Argo project, AECom has completed the design documents for the project and is the engineer of record for building permits. They have invoiced to date $2,148,000, with the remaining balance of $601,989, including contingency, will be used to complete this task. And number 3, for the Aliso Limekiln project, Tetra Tech has completed the pre-design report documents for this project and is the engineer of record for building permits. It is in our city's best interest to utilize their services for engineering services during bid and award and during construction. Tetra Tech has invoiced $709,000 with a remaining balance of $256,936, including contingency, which will be used to complete the task.
Any questions at all on agenda item number 3? All right, thank you, Andy. Commissioner Sindos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 3.
Mr.
Any
President,
issue sending number 3 forthwith? Yes.
just to confirm, you're adopting the assigned board report that was submitted after the agenda posting?
Yes, on all of these. Okay, but yes, on number 3 as well. So that's not as amended, though, is it? Or would it be?
It would be because the draft that was posted is
Okay.
technically different
So
from what was
number 3
being
as
adopted.
amended, just as we did with number 2. Number 3 as amended, the motion is seconded. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 3 as amended. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 4, task order solicitation, McMillan Jacobs Associates, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order to McMillan Jacobs from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering consultants list to continue to provide construction management support services for the Venice Dual Force Main and VPP generator replacement project within existing budget authority not to exceed $3,500,000, which includes contingency. Ms. Chang on number 4.
Good morning. Patricia Chang with Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. The Venice Dual Force Main Project and the Venice Pumping Plant Generator Replacement Project were combined into one construction contract, and that contract was awarded in January 2017 with a contract value of $88.9 million. And because of the specialty construction method involved and the area being a environmentally sensitive area, the task order number 48 was issued to McMillan Jacobs to provide specialty engineering support and environmental monitoring support to the city's construction management team. The task order number 48 was authorized by the board in September 2016 with a not-to-exceed budget of $3.5 million. And the consultants and the city staff have established a working team and it's been working with the contractor to deliver this project. Currently, the field preparation work is ongoing, and the major construction is expected to start very soon. We're requesting to sole source the construction management support services work under the new consultant contract to Mammalian Jacobs in order to avoid the interruption of the work is ongoing and the work in progress. It is estimated that up to $250,000 will be spent under the current contract, but the majority of the work is going to be carried out under the new task order. So there's no change to the proposed sub-consultants, and the only change is the current contract is subject to the MBE, WBE, OBE outreach requirement, and the new contract is subject to the other BIP requirements. And so applying the subs category, we were able to project that under the new task order, the utilization of sub-consultant will be 22.78% MBE, 14.04% WBE, 30.58% SBE, 0% for EBE and the DVBE. We are recommending the authority to issue a sole source task order to Mammalian Jacobs.
Any questions? We'll start with Commissioner Jacinto on agenda item number 4.
Thank you, President James. Pat, thank you for this. So this task is a little bit different because we have barely started it.
We barely started, so we were able to project all the sub-consultant utilization
Correct.
Under the new contract.
And I won't comment too much. I know Commissioner Davis may comment on the numbers, but they look good too as well. So this is just different. The other ones were carrying over 10 to 25%, less than the majority of the budget. This one we're carrying the majority of it, and I think it's fine. I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, could you just briefly overview the diversity or first of all, let me find out, is this federally funded, any federal funds in this project?
No, this is not.
This is all local funded. Can you discuss with me the inclusion efforts on this project? You said that we had already started the project, but we have a lot of more time to go on this one as opposed to the other ones that we've seen. Is that correct? Or
The outreach was done when the task order 40A was issued, and consultant has proposed a diverse team, and that when it was subject to MBE, WBE, and OBE requirement. And then we're not changing the sub-consultants. We're just using the same pledge, the number, and applying the new, some of the sub-consultants that they're also SBE. So that's for how we calculate the new number.
Sure. What is our anticipated vision for completion of this particular project? Do you anticipate how many months this particular project do you think will
The construction completion
Yes,
of this project will be in summer of 2020.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Anything you want to add, Mr. Red? No? Okay. Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, this will be as amended for the signed board report. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4 as amended. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Chang. Mr. Mendoza, so that clears us on special meeting 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll adjourn special meeting 1. Special meeting 2, which was set for noon today, and we are after noon. Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioners Rivas, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. You have a quorum. No speaker cards under public comment, no speaker cards under neighborhood council commentary, and no speaker cards on item number 1.
All right, Mr. Red is here for the Bureau of Engineering, as well as Mr. Cirillo and Mr. Reamer from the Bureau of Contract Administration. We will close general public comment as well as the neighborhood council category of commentary. Agenda item number 1, Council District 6, task order solicitation, design, engineering, and construction support services for various projects. Recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to HDR from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $291,041.69, which includes contingency. Number 2, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to WSP, formerly known as WSP Parsons Brinkerhoff, from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $47,654, which includes contingency. 3, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Tetra Tech Incorporated from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $67,134.20, which includes contingency. And 4th, authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task order solicitation to Carollo Engineers from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services and design support services during construction with a budget authority not to exceed $374,216.45, which includes contingency. These are all for the Donald Tillman Water Reclamation Plan as well as Hyperion Water Reclamation Plan. Mr. Cirillo will go through and summarize each of these for us, and just confirming for the record, Mr. Red, that the sole source justification for this item in our second special meeting is the same sole source justification that we had that was approved for our special meeting 1 that started at 11:30.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cirillo, go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Mike Cirillo with the Bureau of Engineering. I work for the Environmental Engineering Division, and we have 5 sole source task orders that I'm going to run through. The first one is the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Berm Improvements Project. This project entails raising the elevation of an existing berm that surrounds DCT, and this is to comply with U.S. Army Corps flood protection requirements. We need the firm HDR to complete the design of this contract. They're about 80% complete right now, so the sole source will be for them to complete that remaining work. The second one is the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant 1 Mile Outfall Repair Project. This project is actually reballasting the 1 mile outfall that extends into the ocean by putting rocks around the pipe and grouting the pylons that support the pipe to ensure that it can withstand wave and storm action. This project is actually in construction. It's about 75% complete, and HDR will support us through the remainder of the construction on this project, which is expected to complete within 2 or 3 months. The third one is the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Admin Building HVAC Replacement Project. This is an old, outdated 30-year-old HVAC system for the admin building that needs to be replaced, including all ductwork and controls. WSP Parsons Brinkerhoff is completed the design on this contract, and we're ready to start construction shortly, and we need to retain the services of them to make sure that they stand by their design and answer any questions that come up to support their design. The fourth one is the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Power System Modifications Improvement. This is replacing 30-year-old high-voltage switchgear at the plant. It's old, outdated equipment that's needed to be upgraded. Tetra Tech did the electrical design on this, highly specialized technical work. This is starting construction, and again, we need Tetra Tech to support the design by reviewing submittals, answering questions about the design. Since they're the engineer of record, they need to be the one answering those questions. And the last one is the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Digested Gas Utilization Project. Carollo engineers provided support during the design and construction of this project, which is now in the commissioning phase and actually operating. But there still are some loose ends to tie up for this project, such as some as-built drawing review, instrument air system improvements. We have some thermal oxidizers, which are burners that need to be replaced, and Carollo will need to be involved in reviewing the engineering behind those and approving those. We have an ammonia system that's going to be enhanced. They need to review that. And we have some structural platforms that are being installed. We need their expertise to look at that. And then lastly, we have a claim that we're sorting through with Constellation Energy, and there's some time impact analysis to be done and other compensation that may be due, and we need Carollo to assist with help reviewing that documentation. So that concludes the 5, and one thing I just want to mention is they all are in one report because I think it was just cleaner and quicker to do it that way. But when we return to board in a month or two, if you like, we can separate these into separate sole source board reports.
It's the way we normally do it. You were here, Mr. Cirillo. We had a discussion a few minutes ago on why we're here under this process right now. That obviously doesn't happen. I don't think it's happened in the 4+ years that I've been here now. So, yeah, it hasn't happened.
Yeah, so we'll come back with it.
So today's a special day.
Yes, it is.
And recognizing the deadline we were up against. I'm frankly pleased, given all of the entities that had to coordinate at the end of a deadline, that we were able to get this done today.
Yeah.
I was concerned for a little while that it might not happen. So yes, you can separate them out when you come back.
Yes, okay.
A couple things. So again, just to make the record tight, this work is the same as was described in the first special meeting this morning.
Yes.
We're continuing existing tasks.
Correct.
With contractors that are going from the previous pre-qualified on-call list that expires at the end of the day today to the new pre-qualified on-call list that starts tomorrow. And Mr. Mendoza, the board report that we're looking at is amended only to include the signature. There's no other substance that was changed. There might be a typo or two, but maybe not even that. Not even that on this one. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ascento.
Thank you, President James. I second your pleasure of having us be able to work together, all the different departments, to get this done on this day without that much time left. But on the fifth cycle, we're not going to be here. We're going to have a big overlap. I'm sure of that, right? Just wanted to go back to Carollo for DGUP. It's important to note that they're going to support our efforts in the global settlement to make sure that the city is protected and everything is justified. And whatever settlement we do make, it'll be in the city's best interest.
Yes, and it will come here before board.
We're still negotiating that settlement.
We are.
And it would have to be approved by the board.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that's the scope of work that they're going to continue to do on this topic.
And then one more thing to note, if I could just add, that's a not to exceed amount. So if we don't need it, if we settle this thing in a couple of weeks, then we end up just using Carollo for a few weeks. It's not like we're going to spend up to this ceiling. I mean, this is a ceiling, so
Very good.
It's a not to exceed amount, just to make sure you understand.
Thank you.
In many of these, that's what they've been. It's just a not to exceed amount. Doesn't
That's
mean
right.
we're going to spend.
Doesn't mean we'll spend it all. Right.
That's what they're authorized.
Right.
Yeah. Anything further? Commissioner Sintos made a motion on Special 2, Agenda Item Number 1, seconded by Commissioners Rivas and Davis. Without objection, we will adopt, as amended, Special Meeting 2, Agenda Item 1. Any issue sending it forthwith? We will send it forthwith. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Reamer, thank you. Mr. Jordan, thank you. Mr. Mendoza, have we cleared the desk for the third time this morning?
Yes, you have.
All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.